You know what I think?
What?
I think you should go home. I think you should sleep on it, and I think you should at least wait till the morning to decide if you want to come back.
I don't really want to go back in there and see anybody.
Yeah. Okay, pull off your gown. I'll take it in. Shift is over. Go home.
Hello, all. Welcome back to What's On Tonight, a podcast with elaborate, quirky, and unpredictable conversations about TV, movies, and more. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
And today we are covering HBO Max's hit show, The Pitt, Season 2, Episode 13, titled 7 p.m. Please note this is a spoiler-filled podcast, so if you haven't watched the episode yet, don't want to be spoiled, just come back and check us out once you're done. And before we get into episode 13, we got some feedback on our episode 12 coverage. We'll start with you two. Psycho Jax says, about Robbie and Samira. Noah Wyle has said in interviews that he is surprised that people are interpreting his behavior as hostile or sexist. Oh, really? Because he was playing it as someone who sees this amazing doctor who is not working at the level of potential he knows she can. Unfortunately, he is too burned out to say it in a way that would actually be helpful. That's fair. He's definitely not saying it in a way that's helpful.
That's kind of what we said. And Psycho Jax, I don't know if you saw the same interview I did. The one I saw, he didn't exactly say he was surprised that people were interpreting it that way. This may have been a different interview, but the one I saw, he didn't say that he was surprised that they were interpreting it this way, but he did say what people should keep in mind is that he is treating her this way because he feels like in his mind that he's holding her to the standards to which he knows she can reach, which is kind of like what we said a few episodes ago, that he was trying to do the right thing, but that he's just so burnt out, it's coming out the wrong way. But I'm going to push back. I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not going to argue with Noah Wyle. He didn't say anything about the sexist part in the interview I saw either. So again, this may have been a completely different interview, but I feel like the sexism is baked in. And I feel even stronger about that after this week, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
At Linda1541, hey girl, hey.
Hey girl, hey.
Says, great podcast as always, with a little heart emoji. Thank you, Linda. Great comment as always.
Love you. Ginger wrote, fab job, ladies. What a fantastic episode this was, both the show and the pod. She gives it 5 out of 5 firework-induced sternum fractures. Love that. I love the ratings. Y'all keep the ratings coming.
Balboa Baby 1964 said, remember, Noah Wyle himself said that Robbie can't forgive Langdon because Langdon did the rehab work he needed to do and Robbie has not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're all seeing that Robbie is definitely his own worst enemy and everyone else is in that ER right now.
Oh my God. Toxic. If I could play it without getting hit for copyright infringement, Britney Spears' Toxic would be playing right now. Well, thank you everyone so much for the feedback. Please keep it coming. And on to episode 13. This episode was written by Joe Sachs and directed by Damian Marcano. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know why I felt the need to add that, but I did.
Because his name is just so dramatic.
It is.
All right, our synopsis for this episode. Diabetic patient Orlando makes a shocking return to the ER. Javadi assists head neurosurgeon Dr. Linda Conley in placing an EVD. Moanne is shaken by Orlando's condition and is further devastated by the death of the AAA patient she assessed with Ogilvy, who is also destroyed by the loss. Robbie grows concerned after Al-Hashimi disassociates when she examines a teenage asthma patient whom Langdon almost prematurely intubates. Dr. Mel consoles Langdon's subsequent self-doubt. McKay and Santos diagnose a jaundiced woman with turmeric overdose, while Dana and Emma give Digby a shave and a haircut. Robbie gets dire news about Duke's condition, and as Robbie continues to delay his departure, Dana confronts him over his treatment of the staff and urges him to leave, but Robbie asks, what if I don't come back?
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, that's the good place for the dun-da-duns. You could almost hear it in the episode. Like, that was literally like stethoscope drop.
Oh, I like that.
Should have done that stethoscope drop in the
We should
storm
add
off.
that for the remainder of this season and next season. Like, what was the stethoscope drop moment?
Yeah, ooh, that is good.
I like it. Well, let's start with Robbie and Dr. Al. So, as we can see, Robbie is definitely reaching his boiling point. It starts with Duke being stuck in CT, and then Dana over his shoulder calling out the time at 7:15. You can go. And he just keeps saying he's got more loose ends to tie up. And I did think it was funny that she said he had more loose ends than a macrame wall hanging. That was great.
That cracked me up because those things, by the way, anybody under the age of 50 out there, those things were everywhere in the 70s and 80s, and they were hideous.
And still are. And some people still have them floating around their house.
Yes, and apologies to you guys.
Yes. Love your macrame.
Yes, if I have offended the macrame community, I want to apologize now.
Don't at us over that. So the way he talked to Javadi about doing that procedure with the chief of neurosurgery, who's played by Mary McCormack, that was pretty cool. I think it's actually Mary McCormack. And kudos to her, the chief of neurosurgery, who's willing to work holidays and nights. That's not common in somebody at that point in their career. So I liked her. I hope we get to see a little bit more of her in the next couple of episodes. But what got me about this is Javadi is setting her boundaries, right? She's telling Robbie, I'm tired. I don't have it in me to do this right now. Can somebody from the night shift do it? Which would have been reasonable. But in Robbie's current headspace, he basically is like, you need to buck up. I don't want to come back and see you working in dermatology, which dermatology is a fine profession and actually save a lot of people's lives because skin cancer is bad. But anyway, and then he proceeds to volunteer her for the procedure despite he didn't listen to her. He just completely steamrolled her and put her in that position. And I just wrote in big bold letters, toxic.
Yeah, that one is one of those weird gray areas for me where I don't know what the line is. Because the thing about the show that we keep talking about is how nobody is really a monster. Although Monica, after this week, she's running pretty damn close. And nobody's really a saint. And so a lot of times with these storylines, I feel like there's a couple of things that can be true at the same time. And with that one, on the one hand, we see, the storyline talking about Joy Kim leaving on time when traditionally, if it's a mess, people stay, and she set that boundary. And we know it looks like everybody is melting down because they're all being worked way too hard. And we talked about how that is like a built-in problem with the American healthcare system, is that these people that are getting exponentially richer and richer every year with fewer and fewer staff at the cost of our medical staff. I totally agree that he was pushing her past where she told him that she was comfortable with. But then there's this other side of me that's like, he's also her teacher. And at a certain point, even, as a parent, there are times where your kid, because she was trying to get out of it, partly because she was nervous because of what happened with that earlier procedure. And I think to a degree, it's back to what we were talking about with him and Mohan, that comment from Psychojax that Robbie has the right intentions, but the delivery is wrong. So I don't necessarily have a problem with him trying to push her to do the procedure. It was his delivery, again, and the way that he went about it for me.
Yeah, I see your point. I didn't look at it from a teacher standpoint. I just looked at it from Robbie's just doing too much. And You're right. It was a very great teaching moment. And she did need a boost because, like you said, her confidence was down after that previous procedure. However, I feel like as her boss, he's got to do better at listening. It wasn't like it was during her regular shift. Had that been during her regular shift, we probably wouldn't even be discussing this right now. Right. But it was, she's done. And she's right. The night shift is here. Surely these people need practice doing things like this too. Let them do it. And he just did not hear her. And that's where I was upset.
No, it's just his delivery. He's so burnt out that he is now a detriment. He's actually shooting himself in the foot. He wants to be the best teacher he can so that his ER gets the best doctors that it can have and his patients get the best treatment. But he is actively working against that goal at this point.
Yeah, it's not doing anybody any good.
Yeah.
And then he catches Dr. Al having one of her spaced out moments with the asthma patient. And when he pulls Mohan out of the trauma room with Orlando, I thought he was like, because she immediately dove into, I did everything I could to get him to stay. You could tell she was like afraid that he was getting ready to snap on her, which is another, hey, Robbie, read the room. You're not doing anything healthy. But then he just wants to get info on her time with Dr. Al. And then she admits that she did space out earlier that morning with baby Jane Doe. And so he approaches Dr. Al about it. And rather than just coming out and asking her, I mean, I guess he kind of did by saying, you know, you seem to have like a moment there. And she's like, I was just thinking about best cause. And she wasn't honest with him about what it was. But I also, looking at it from her opinion, I don't know this man. This man has not been in any way kind to me for the majority of the day. Why would I tell him about something, an obvious neurological mental health issue that she's having? But I get him wanting to know if there's something he needs to be concerned about. I just think the way it felt very passive aggressive is the best way I could say he was being with her about, was they're sure you're not something you want to tell me, rather than just coming out and saying, look, I saw this moment. Is this a problem?
Yeah, as another point here that I just see it two ways. On the one hand, you're right. I mean, that's her private medical information. He has no right to that information. But I also think it's a little bit hypocritical of Dr. Al when she found out about Langdon's issues that she very quickly, and I think that it was accurate. She needed time to really assess how she felt about that. And it was shocking to her. And I don't really begrudge her too much that she was kind of pissy to him last episode, because I think maybe she's going to adjust going forward. And it was just a shock to her in the moment. But the same is true here. I mean, yes, it is her personal, private, health information. But if Langdon deserves the benefit of the doubt with his issues, then, she needs to be, if she is concerned that Langdon's health issues are going to make him a worse doctor, then some part of her at some point is going to have to be honest about what she is dealing with as well, because it's not fair and it's not right. But you're not responsible for your mental health, but you're responsible to your mental health. I'm not saying that right. And I didn't make that phrase up, but it's basically just this idea that you can't help the fact that you might have mental health challenges, just like any other medical condition. But if you're in a position like that, and it could potentially affect the care of your patients, then, I mean, at some point you have to acknowledge that or be honest about it.
Yeah. And especially given that she's going to be leading this team for the next 3 months.
Right.
I just think I guess the thing
it's the
for
same
Robbie,
as the delivery.
Yeah, it's the delivery. So,
and then again, it's very human too. Like, I'm saying that, but it's just the same way that, like, I can see the Langdon situation two ways. Like, on the one hand, it's got to suck so bad that you're doing everything you're supposed to do to make up for a mistake, or at least everything that you think you're supposed to do. Because we've talked about maybe there are things he could be doing different, but he's trying. He's really trying. And you want the benefit of the doubt there, and you're not getting it. But I also can understand, like, for instance, last week where she found out, that he could be a risk for stealing drugs, which could impact her career. I get both of their points of view. And it's the same thing here. It just is like so much of this whole season is just like, there's not much that's black and white.
Yeah. This is one giant gray.
Right.
It's like a gray cloud, like under the dome.
Yeah.
It's just a gray dome over PTMC.
Well, yeah, I think that the writers just truly love, and I think this is part of why I personally love this show so much, that you can tell every episode how much these writers love philosophy. And they really make you think about things, because a lot of times ethics are not black and white, because the world is not pristine, and you're not going to ever have a day where you get up where you're going to be able to make all of the quote unquote morally correct choices all the time. And I love that they make you really, really think about things. Almost every week, there's something different that you're like, well, what would I do there?
Yeah. So then Robbie gets chastised by Dana for talking about Orlando's alleged attempted suicide right out there in the open. And thank God she clocked that Mrs. Diaz was about to walk out of that room, because had she heard any of that, that poor woman would have been...
I don't know how she's doing I mean, that poor woman... She's in the running for, like, most tragic character of this season, Mrs. Diaz, because None of this is her doing. She would have handled things completely differently than her husband did. And she has to feel just scared and everything's out of control. And that poor lady.
Yeah, we'll talk about her more when we get into Mohan, but yeah, I just wanted to give her just a big giant hug.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get Noelle, who pops in. We'll talk more about her later as well. But I just loved Abbott's look at Robbie, and then Robbie giving Abbott the finger.
That was a good, cute moment.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, I don't like Noelle.
I'm not a fan. Nothing against her. She kind of had me there for a minute because she seemed very mature about understanding what her relationship with Robbie was. But then she's like, if you're leaving on this 3-month sabbatical because of me, you could just tell me I'm a big girl. I can handle it. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It really seemed to, I don't know. It bugged me. It didn't seem like her.
I think Dana clocked her right when she was like, what are you doing being involved with a man who is clearly this mentally
unstable?
I don't know, man. I kind of feel the same way I do about Santos and Garcia. Like, there is an obvious trauma going on with that person. And if you're not going to be fully committed to them, then why are you even messing around with them? You shouldn't be. You're just going to end up being another thing that pushes that person over the edge.
Yeah. Well, we find out Duke has an ascending aortic aneurysm that needs to be treated, but the cardio surgeon will not do it without a full cardio workup. I want to give a shout out to Jeffrey Owens here, who plays Dr. Clay Barrett. I don't know if anybody remembers, a couple of years ago, maybe somebody posted a photo of him bagging groceries at a grocery store.
Yeah.
And everybody was like picking on him and making fun of him for the fact that he had a very good job. But I'm glad that they cast him in this because I think it was just nice to see him working as an actor again. And I like that moment. But Robbie, he really started snapping there. And it's just like another moment. So Dana makes him take a walk. She tells him it's time to sign out and go. And then we get a revelation that his mom left and didn't come back. And I wrote here in my notes, who has mommy issues now? And he lists all the reasons that he can't leave. Langdon might relapse. Dr. Al isn't fit to run the place in his absence. Can Whitaker really take care of his shit? Mohan, worried about Mohan flaming out. Well, you're not helping that any. Javadi not acting on her potential. And then he's just turns it around on Dana like he usually does, running around with Versed in her pocket. And he just cannot go with any of that. And she swears to him that they can manage without him until he's back. And we end the episode with the teary-eyed Robbie saying, what if I don't come back?
Yeah, a few things. Well, one, going back to Robbie's misogyny and why I think that it is being baked into the character. I feel like the fact that we got this little nugget that his mom left apparently when he was young, I think that definitely plays into how he treats women and his relationships with women in general. And also, yeah, I mean, how much does that play into his shitty treatment towards Mohan about her mom, quote unquote, mommy issues?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a big tell.
Hypocrisy much. But also, this episode now has me leaning away from the active suicide plan for Robbie. Like, he does seem like he isn't literally planning to kill himself, but he does have some idea that he is maybe never coming back to Pittsburgh.
Which is probably, in my honest opinion, the healthiest thing Robbie has done or said in 2 seasons.
Right.
That this man is acknowledging that maybe this isn't where I need to be.
Yeah. And that's what's interesting is, again, like, what are they trying to say here? So we had a revelation this week that I've always heard about the book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, but I think I've been pretty clear through every podcast we've ever done that I'm not super interested in hearing dude bro philosophy. And I've always just kind of like felt like that was mostly what it was. And no offense to anybody out there that likes it. I have never read it. I have no idea what it's about. It just never appealed to me because it just felt like it was going to be that. But now I'm really interested in it because something clicked with me this past week where we were podcasting and I realized that that book might be informing the plot for Robbie this season. And I Googled it. Sure enough, it is. Like, they've talked about that in interviews, that was the book that he read getting ready for this season. And a lot of this whole plot line with Robbie makes more sense to me after reading the summary of what the book is about and where they're going with this. Some of the choices make more sense to me now, but I'm still not sure, like, where are we going with this? So, okay, now we kind of know that Robbie has a plan to perhaps not come back, but probably not actively planning to kill himself. Are we saying that that is a healthy choice? Or is it just Robbie running away more from everything that he doesn't want to deal with here?
I think it's both.
Yeah, me too.
Like you said earlier, two things can be true.
Yeah.
But I think him acknowledging the Pitt, this emergency department, and everyone is it, because he made a very interesting statement. He's like, I'm worried about the people that I care about.
Yeah.
And which we talked a lot about last week with Penny about how this is his family. This is what he's got. And that's why I think why it's so hard for him to leave, because he, even if he is being toxic and not realizing he's adding more to the problems than he is solving them in his mind, these are his people. These are his kids. They're his family, however you want to look at it. And that's why he was so emotional when he looked at her and said, what if I don't come back? Because he is on some level understanding that it is this chaos, that it is these people and all of the situations that he takes on himself. I'm not saying anybody puts this on him. This is in Robbie's head, that maybe this isn't the healthiest place for him to be in order for him to have any kind of life. So I think both are very, very true.
I think those are some really good insights, because one of the things that I learned Googling is in the art of motorcycle maintenance is apparently the gist of the book is mostly about what is quality. Is quality about things, or is it about actions? And to really, really dumb it down, it seems that the journey of the protagonist through that book is to discover that it is both. It is both the work and the work that you are putting into the work, which is, again, really dumbing down what seems to be a pretty complex philosophy. But I think I loved that idea, and which is just another one of those moments where I found out me being snobby about something probably kept me from something that I probably would have thought was pretty cool. But I love that idea, because we've talked about that before, like administrative work, and how some people look down on that and how ridiculous that is, because it took us a long time to realize it doesn't really matter what you do in life. It's about the care that you put into it and doing it to the best of your ability and taking pride in all of that. And then that helps you to become the person that goes after whatever your goals are. So I love that idea. And I'm really interested to see how that's going to play out over the next 2 episodes. Because right now, Robbie doesn't seem to have grasped that lesson. He still seems to be on his journey. At the end of the day, I think that that is what they're trying to say, is that you can be somebody that works in this environment and still be pretty mentally healthy, but you can't do it if you're going to take everything onto yourself and your ego makes you feel like you're responsible for every single thing that goes into the shift. Am I making sense?
You are making sense. And I think that's where he's at right now. I think that's where his head is at. It's like, I called this episode the episode of doubt, because just about everybody starts doubting themselves in this episode.
Yeah.
And he's at that, I feel like he's at that point. He's doubting whether or not he should leave, but he's also doubting how healthy it is for him to stay. And he's at war with that right now. And hopefully these next 2 episodes, he will find that middle ground that allows him to still be there for these people, but also be there for himself, take care of himself, and note that when he is a healthier Robbie, he can be better for these people that he cares about.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was badly trying to say, is that I hope that that's where we're going with this. And I think it is, but I hope that he's going to learn that setting boundaries is the only way he's going to be able to continue to do this long term, because I don't think that the best thing for Robbie would be to leave everything behind that he knows and what gives him purpose in life. But I also clearly, manifestly, the way that he is making everything about it all on his shoulders and no one else's is destroying him and the thing that he loves. So, yeah, really can't wait to see how they're going to land this plane.
Yeah. I can and can't wait all at the same time.
Yeah.
All right. This was my favorite part of the episode, so I gave it its own main point, which was Emma, Dana, and Digby when Dana is announcing what happened with Jesse and also informs on what happened to Emma, and Emma's adorable. Oh, I'm fine. Just precious.
It
Love
was.
Letitia. Dana asks everyone not to forget code hula hoop and to always keep a clear path to the door. I thought Emma's eagerness to see what happens in rounds was so cute. And then getting into it with Mr. Digby, both of these ladies were amazing. You know, giving him that clean shave and him asking Emma, how long have you been a nurse? And she's like, this is my first day. And he's like, well, you're doing great. Loved that. And I thought, I mean, kudos to the show, just like they did with Louis. They give us a little bit more of Digby's backstory. And we find out that just a few years ago, he was dancing with his daughter at her wedding and that his family lives in his old house. And I thought it was interesting when Emma asked, well, where do you live? And he got that very coy smile on his face. It says, wherever I want. It's very telling.
Yeah, that's the reality. I like that they're making this such a complex storyline and really fleshing Mr. Digby out, because that is the truth of a lot of unhoused people. Charles Baker talked about in the interview that we did with him that his backstory was that Mr. Digby had schizophrenia and bipolar disorder, and that often makes it very difficult for someone to stay the kind of course that most people choose to stay in their life with a 40-hour-a-week job, living indoors, all of that stuff. And the reality is, a lot of the people on the streets have family that love them in the home that they probably left because their illness got out of control. Those are two notoriously difficult things to treat. And, you know, maybe he's happier there.
I think so. And, you know, when they gave him the haircut and somebody, I think it was Dana that said something that nobody's going to be able to recognize him or something, and he got panicked.
It was Emma accidentally said.
Okay.
And I loved how they played with each other there, her and Dana kind of turning it back around. Dana could see that that was about to send Mr. Digby into a spiral. And so she started going, no, 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 you know, you. And then Emma started picking up at the end and saying what she did. It was.
That got me with did you dance with your daughter at her wedding? And he was like, yes, I did. And she's like, she's going to remember you. I'm like, oh, man.
And what I want to really make sure that we give a shout out to them for is just how great the writers and those two actresses and Charles Baker, like the way that Emma and Dana were playing off of each other. And Emma was immediately, she had a misstep, but Dana was there to help her kind of get her back on the straight and narrow. And Emma immediately picked up on, this is how I misstepped. This is how to get back. Mm-hmm. They make a great team. Dana's just doing an excellent job teaching her little duckling.
She is. And I hear me now, writers, directors of the show. If Emma is not back next season, we write it Dawn.
Yeah.
But the moment that got me, I wrote here in my notes, when he looks at himself in the mirror, I'm not crying. Yeah. Well done, Charles Baker. You said Digby was going to have a moment. I thought it was going to be something bad.
Yeah.
This wasn't bad at all. This is beautiful. And it gave us insight.
He told us there were a few things that they asked him, would you be comfortable doing when he came on? One was the prosthetic with the maggots.
The other was showing his butt.
Okay. And I bet that cutting his hair was the third thing.
I bet that's the third thing that he couldn't tell us about.
Yeah.
And it's I just loved all of that. I love that Dana continues to champion for dignity for patients, and that Emma is just right on her heels learning what's important. You look at Emma from the start of the shift and how she reacted to all of the things that were going on with Digby to her now. And it just, well done. Great storyline. Please bring her back. I love that. And then I loved on the way out the door how Perla gives Emma a hug, and the way Perla side-eyes Monica when Monica suggests that Emma could actually stay and help them out.
Yeah.
And Perla gives her the side-eye, but she's had enough. She's had a long day. Go home. Boundaries, people. Boundaries.
Yeah.
And she's setting that quickly early in her career, what the work-life balance looks like. And I just love that whole thing.
I hope she sticks to that. I like Dr. Nazali at the end. I don't guess we can't call her Dr. Nazali yet either, can we? Nazali at the end when she walked past Digby's room and didn't recognize him.
Yeah, Dana's like, no, he's right there. And she picks her out. She's like, I got this.
Yeah, that was really sweet.
All right, last main point. Santos, Whitaker, McKay, and King. You know, I love to say last main point and shove 47 people into it. But they were all together this shift, so it was very hard to separate them. But I just loved seeing Santos, Whitaker, and King together at the scanning station. And I'm hoping that this is going to continue to set them up being together at the end of the shift. I thought it was hilarious that McKay enlist Santos for help with the health nut patient, who, by the way, if you didn't know, was played by Noah Wiley's wife, Sarah. It turns out too much turmeric. And it was a very interesting conversation she had with Santos about Santos thinking, I ask myself, how do you know what's going on with the weird ones? McKay asked Santos, and Santos says, I just ask myself, what's the dumbest, stupidest thing this person could have done? And because of that, she's able to work backwards and get to some good points. But it really kind of bugged me. Though she's right, these dumbass people doing what they're doing is keeping her in a job. But I feel like we're at the point now where they really are, like, Santos, unless it's a kid, they've painted the picture that she just does not give a shit about these patients. And it makes me question why she's in this job.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't.
But she's burnt out. I'm not saying her thoughts are wrong. It just, these last few episodes, they've really hammered home the way she's openly talking to patients. And you notice when Dana was talking to Robbie about how he dressed down Mohan and McKay, he heard Santos talking shit to a patient and said nothing. It's so in your face. And I believe they're doing that on purpose. But what is the point of that? Why is she in this job?
I don't question that part of it. I think she's a complex character, and I think she cares a lot more than she comes across. And I think eventually she's going to have a big, massive fall where she's going to be humbled because of her shitty attitude towards people. But yeah, I'm biased because I also agree with her. People are fucking stupid these days.
They are. That's why I'm saying she's not wrong.
I mean, I can't imagine being a doctor and having to deal with, and it's not okay the way she's talking to patients lately. I just don't feel like that. It makes me question why she's doing what she's doing. I mean, she's doing it because she's ambitious. She's doing it because she's very driven. She's doing it because deep down, she really does care about people, because you see that over and over again with other people. It's not just children. Like last season, the kid that was suicidal towards the end, and she was very open and vulnerable with him about how she had a friend who killed themselves. However, that's no defense of the way that she talks to people. And I think that McKay almost got in her ass about it, and she would have deserved every bit of that. But I also feel like if I were a doctor, I would have a really hard time with people like that, or the mom that ended up trying to sue Mel because she didn't want her kid to have a spinal tap. These people that don't trust science, they'll walk around with a freaking iPhone in their hand that has more power than, the first moon landing by far. Like I'm not saying that right, but you know what I mean? Like they'll trust technology and science about certain things, but then like everybody wants to be a doctor online, and it's killing people. Like, all of these anti-vaxxers and people that, won't go to a doctor, but they'll eat pounds of turmeric. It's insane. And part of me agrees with her.
Yeah, I did like her line that the CDC is a medical toxic wasteland. Facts.
Yeah.
Don't go to the CDC anymore looking for valid information, because you're not going to get it.
Right. Which is I just can't imagine how shitty it would be a doctor in those circumstances. That being said, I'm not defending anything she did or said. She is looking for a massive fall at some point. I think that there's going to be a moment where she is going to be massively humbled because of her shitty attitude, probably more than once in this series. And she's going to deserve it because she's got to grow up at some point. I have empathy for her, but I'm losing sympathy as this shift goes on and she acts more and more like a child.
Well, one thing I did like with her behavior, not so much her behavior, but something I think is finally starting to sink in her head, and that's thanks to Whitaker. So I'm going to read this note that I wrote. So Whitaker is amazing. Loved his talk with Santos about how he doesn't have to move out. He can just check on Robbie's once or twice a day and stay with her. I think Santos is so used to people bailing and rushing away because of her poor attitude. And she's having a hard time accepting and trusting why Whitaker would want to stay with her, despite all that she's done to be an asshole to him and try and push him away. I think Whitaker's getting through to her.
I hope so, because I think that it's going to take a Whitaker. There are just not that many people that character trusts or respects.
Or who would have enough patience to keep trying.
Right. And there's even fewer that would want to mess with her because she can be such an asshole to people. But all of that is just defense mechanism stuff. I mean, it's not okay. It's definitely not okay. But somebody pointed out on one of the online discussions about her being a cutter. I can't remember exactly how they phrased it. And they claim that they were someone that used to engage in cutting behavior themselves. But they made some kind of statement to the effect that cutters notoriously can't have empathy for other people. I don't believe that that's true.
She has empathy for people. She just...
It's very selective, though.
There you
and
go.
I think a better way probably to have phrased that would be that, like a lot of people that suffer from mental illnesses, mental illness can sometimes make you very selfish. I hate it. I wish there was a better word to describe it because, frankly, I don't like it because it's true of me as well whenever I am in really bad depressive or anxious states. But what I mean by that is not that you are a selfish person. It's that it just the very nature of it makes you constantly checking inside yourself to try to figure out what's wrong because you just know you don't feel okay. And so it makes it very difficult for you. You're expending so much of your energy freaking out about what's going on inside of you internally.
You don't have the energy to care for anybody else. It's that I know what you mean when you hit those points. And I can feel them coming. And I'll text you and be like, all right, I'm reaching depression here. And sometimes Mandy and I always like to say to each other, feel what you need to feel, just don't get stuck there. That is our thing.
Because if you don't feel it, you can't work through it.
Right.
And I think that is where Santos is that a lot of people don't get to that point because they are so free. I always tell my kids, most people don't fear anything in the world more than they do an honest conversation. And a lot of times what I mean by that is things like this, like mental health, anxiety, depression, all of those things, they can make you feel so terrified of your own internal reality that it's easier to just shut off your feelings and just don't deal with them. Because if you don't deal with them, if you shove them deep, deep down and shove them away, they're not real. They can't hurt you if you don't look at them. If you shove them in a little box to the side.
See, Dr. Robbie.
Yeah, which again, back to your point about why he's not calling her out for being an asshole to people when he's doing exactly the same thing.
I think there's it. That makes sense.
There's a lot of parallels there. It's like I talked about last week. The more this season goes on, the more I think that Whitaker and McKay are the two strongest characters on this show because real strength isn't shoving things deep, deep down and powering through. That's a great tool in the moment. Like it can help you. Sometimes it is absolutely time to just pull your big girl panties up, shove everything aside for a moment and get the job done. But it can only be for a moment because if you keep doing that every moment of every day, you're going to turn to terrible coping mechanisms like riding a motorcycle without a helmet or cutting yourself.
Yeah.
Just so that you can have an outlet for your emotions and feel anything because you deaden so many parts of yourself. So I think it's going to take a Whitaker. I think it's going to take somebody like a Whitaker who is going to say, I have been through some shit. I know that life can be dark. Basically the talk he gave Ogilvy, which we'll get here in a little bit. But I think Whitaker is one of the strongest people there. He's not a baby. He's not a child. He's not as naive, I think, as Santos and Robbie seem to think. I think they just don't understand that kind of strength, that he is in touch with his feelings and he's been through things. He's not naive, but he hasn't let it make him hard.
Yeah. And I think she's starting to, I really watched that interaction. I watched her facial expressions on my second and third watch when that conversation happened. And it just clicked with me. It's like he's getting, because she broke her down her walls a little bit last week by being open and honest with him about her feelings about Langdon and Robbie leaving. And now he's like, look, I don't have to go stay there. I could just go. And her question, why would you do that? because I don't think people have done that for her.
Right.
So I hope this is headed in a very good direction.
Yeah, me too.
And I just laughed. LOL moment at bathing suit, sunburned girl being escorted through the ED. I am loving this character, and I don't know how we could keep her around for another season, but I'd love it if they could. So Ogilvy, we find out, Santos finds out that Ogilvy's patient died, the English teacher, and Emma discovers him in the ambulance bay, and it doesn't look like he's doing well. And I loved this callback to season 1 with what Whittaker tells Ogilvy about balancing death, explaining to him about his first loss last season. And he repeated the words that Robbie told him back in season 1. You've got to find the balance, so on and so on. I just love this side of Whittaker. And I love that he's like a sponge. He has absorbed everything that these people have said to him throughout his time at the Pitt, and is able to use that and help Ogilvy hopefully come back to face another day. And I like that he didn't tell him, you need to decide right now, what are you going to do? He's like, go home, spend the night, think about it. And Ogilvy's obviously, he was embarrassed. He missed this thing, and now this guy's dead. He doesn't want to face anybody. I even loved the touch that when Whittaker says, give me your gown, you see him reach into the ambulance to get gloves. Like, just so spot on by the writers.
Yeah.
I loved that whole thing, and just well done, Whittaker.
Yeah. Whittaker's storyline has been thus far much quieter than some of the others.
But so impactful.
Right. I think it was by design, because I think what we're seeing is that in the last 10 months, these characters have had some of them pretty drastic changes as far as like where they are at with their feelings about working in the ER. And Whittaker, I just love how they have repeatedly shown these quiet moments where he is showing how much of a leader he's becoming and how much positive change he is. Because there's been a lot of people whose mental health has gone way downhill.
Way down.
I think Whittaker is a refreshing example of somebody who has taken his experiences and allowed them to make him a better doctor without destroying him. And maybe working on the farm is the secret, as much as they were worried about him being used by that woman. I mean, that may be part of the secret, is that he's got something outside that ER feeding his soul.
Yeah. And it's a very farm work. It's very physical.
Yeah.
And, sometimes people laugh at me, but I know I'm not the only one. Sometimes sitting outside and digging in the dirt, pulling weeds and whatnot is like the most relaxing thing I can do for my mind.
What if at the end of all of this, it's Whittaker, it's Santos in some overalls pulling weeds on the farm?
I would pay money to see that.
Oh my God. I really need that to be how, with a big old straw hat on, just out there.
I need Mel to be there too. Fumbling, trying to milk a cow, but with that just cheese. Speaking of Mel, her door when she goes beep 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 to get McKay out of the way, and then he's like, just kick the machine, and she kicked the machine. Hilarious. I adore Mel King.
I read somewhere that they broke in that scene, and they wasn't scripted, that they were all supposed to start laughing. And they just kept that take. Good, because it worked. Yeah, that's, it was very funny. What would really happen. I loved that. All right, anything else on Made Notes? Nope. All right, let's start with Mohan. So Orlando obviously has her shook. She is snapping at superiors, blanking with responses to questions. You can tell she feels the weight of what has happened to this man on her shoulders, because at first we don't know why he's back, because there's a lot of confusion on why he's there. Everything looks normal. So it's like, what's going on? And you could tell when Robbie was starting to clock that this guy was trying to kill himself. And then she starts to suspect it as well, when she goes to ask medic Carrie if she noticed anything at the fall site. And it turns out his diabetes he was doing well managing his diabetes, or improving, I should say. But it does seem that he wanted to kill himself to help his family out of debt for all his medical bills. And that leads us into poor Mrs. Diaz. She has no idea what she's walking into, which makes me wonder what they said to her when they called.
And Mohan's despair when she's like immediately, like she does with everybody else. I tried everything to get him to stay. I offered to get him supplies. He left because he didn't want to miss a paycheck. And I thought it was really freaking shitty of our healthcare system that Noelle comes down and tells Mrs. Diaz that things will be easier for her now because he qualifies for Medicare and Medicaid now, and they will cover most of the costs. And I just wrote, how fucked up is that?
And that is where I broke up with Noelle. That just was such a callous way to talk to someone whose husband is now potentially going to need, he could be quadriplegic for all, I mean,
For the
who
rest of
knows?
his life. Yeah.
Yeah, that is not the time and place to be hammering home that message as hard as she was.
Well, I also think it's fucked up that, oh, okay, well, you can't get life-saving care while you're physically healthy
Right. It
enough
is fucked
to
up.
get it, but you fall and become in need of constant care. Well, we'll give you insurance now. How does that make freaking sense, man?
It doesn't. And that's the entire argument about subsidized healthcare in this country. You've got the one side who hollers and yells strenuously, constantly, no quote unquote free healthcare. Never mind the fact that it's taxpayer money, it's taxpayer funded, it's not free. But, that they're like, it's going to be too much for us as a country to pay for subsidized healthcare. But the other side of that coin is if we have a healthier society, it is far cheaper than it is to have to do expensive emergency medication on people who are not living healthy because they can't get decent health care. There've been a million studies done on it that you can see that when you have a healthier society in general, in the long run, it is far less expensive for the public than having people who can't get their medication until it's an emergency situation. And then you've got very expensive specialists and far more visits, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, than it would have been if they had just been able to get their maintenance medication all along.
Yeah, which leads us into our second point of Langdon and the asthma kid.
Yeah.
So Grady Barnhill and his mom, Naomi, played by Tiana Mendez, come in. I just thought their relationship, the mom and son relationship, was so sweet. Made me think of you and Jackson.
Yeah.
How I could see Jackson being used, throw out a cuss word or something, and he's like, language mom.
That was very Jackson and me. Like that actually is funny you said that because that was exactly what I thought of. Is I would be far more likely to say something like that and it would embarrass the hell out of my kid.
It was cute. So Langdon is quick to want to intubate as none of the other treatments are working, but as it said multiple times, it could cause cardiac arrest given his condition. And then, Dr. Shen and Dr. Cruz advise against it. And Cruz ends up through, I guess they were doing an ultrasound, discovers a pneumothorax, and loved how he just stuck his finger in there and fixed it.
Ugh.
That was cool as shit. But this whole thing makes Langdon shaky because he almost intubated this kid and could have made things worse. And so now he's doubting if he's ready to be back at work. And I love that they had Mel be the one to talk to him. She launches into how her deposition made her feel like a really bad doctor. And she admits we don't always get things right the first time, but assures Langdon that he would have definitely caught that collapsed lung. And I loved it when he was like, Robbie's all over my ass. And she's like, well, Robbie's leaving for 3 months. And with him gone, I really don't want you to leave. Just hammering home their amazing relationship. And then that moment when she says, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And he's like, what's that? How do you pronounce that guy's name? Nietzsche, very famous philosopher, right?
Yes.
Okay. But she, like me, immediately went to Kelly Clarkson's doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm like, you're not wrong, Mel. But that was just such a funny, cute, took me back to her in the ambulance bay singing Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah, that was really funny.
But this was another case where this poor kid had a medicine that was working, keeping him alive and very healthy. And because a piece of paper didn't get forwarded to their new address, he lost his Medicaid. He doesn't have a primary caregiver anymore. And obviously the medicine that he needed was not being given to him. And it's just now he's in an emergency room with a collapsed lung because he couldn't get
Basic maintenance medicine.
Yeah, it's just,
Well, Becky, I have recently heard from some very intelligent people, only the best people, that we as a country cannot afford things like healthcare and daycare for our citizens. We need that money for war. So,
well, never mind then.
yeah, we need
Thank
that money to
you.
send people to die. We don't have money laying around or to build ridiculous ballrooms.
Yeah, I mean, duh. I can't believe I didn't think of
I
that
know.
on my own. I'm
Priorities,
sorry. I'm
Becky.
sorry, America. Keep American. And the last note I have here, I just thought it was so sweet how Grady thanks Langdon and Mel for their hard work and that like little I told you so look. Mel gives Langdon on the way out the door, like, see, you do belong here. I just liked
Yeah,
that. I really
that
liked
was
that whole
sweet. And he
thing.
needed that.
He definitely needed that. All right. Next up, Shin and Abbott. I just wanted to make a note here because Dr. Shin and his disappointment at there being no cake.
He's real for that.
Yes. And Darren occasionally will be like, I brought home like a treat from the grocery store, and my response every single time is birthday cake. And it's usually not
Mm.
birthday cake, but it's still something delicious. But I'm like, why can't I have birthday cake? I know it's not my birthday, but I want birthday cake.
That reminded me of the restaurant days, Bex. Like people, when you go into a restaurant and you're in one of those where you can leave the cake, you better leave that cake for the
Leave
staff.
it. We did that for we went to O'Charlie's after Connor and Maggie got married and had like a dinner there, and Mike had stopped and got all these like small cheesecakes and stuff,
Mhm.
and we left the rest with
As you should.
our
Yes.
server, and she was so happy.
Yes. It is literally like winning the lottery if you're a server. If somebody's
Legit.
got some good ass cake and they leave it for you.
And then just a note that Abbott's back and taking charge, coming in, instructing the day shift on what needs to be done. And poor Santos Whitaker, Mel, and McKay were just not happy at all that they were going to have to sit there and scan all
Yeah.
these people. But somebody has to do it, I guess. Okay, next up, new night shift crew. We get Dr. Cruz Henderson, who is a
How
senior.
you doing, Dr. Cruz Henderson?
I love him.
Yeah, he's like a mover and shake. He's the ultrasound OG.
Yeah, he's got some cool moves. It's played by Luke Tenney, and he is using ultrasounds to diagnose the knee patient and the kid with the wrist issue and is able to get them treated and home sooner.
What about the name Cruz too? Dr. Cruz
With
Henderson.
an S, though.
I know.
That's what I
know who
like
named him.
about it.
I bet I know who named him.
Who?
Damian Marcano.
Aha, we've got Damian Marcano.
I'm thinking that he
Cruz
named Dr.
Henderson.
Cruz Henderson.
That is like a straight up OG. Don't judge me, but I've been watching reruns of Baywatch Nights on
That
random
does sound
TV,
like-
and it sounds like somebody that would be on Baywatch Nights.
It sure does. Oh, I love him. And Dr. Nosley Tumarian, our new night shift intern.
Played by Sophia Hasmick.
Loved her. I saw she's got a very unique look to her. And I saw a meme this week that said, wait, now we have two dead Victorian children working in the ER. And it was her and Whitaker because they both look like they could. Honestly, I
They
think
could
you
be
could throw
siblings.
McKay in there. I think you could throw McKay in there because they all three look like they really need a nap.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. I like her though. I
do
that
too.
she her eagerness to take on patients during rounds. She doesn't seem skittish or afraid to do her job. I did think it was great writing that they gave McKay that line when she's asking Nosley how she felt about night shift. And she's like, it's not bad. And McKay's like, yeah, if you like a good horror movie.
Yeah,
I just like
that.
that.
That was a little wink, wink because
Yeah.
of her dad being Chucky,
Mhm. Yeah, and
Yeah.
her being in.
being in one of the Chucky movies. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. All right. What the fuck, Monica? So it's official.
Monica is a dick.
Monica is an asshole.
I was so wrong about, and we'll just save the misdiagnosis for, I was massively wrong about Monica. I wanted to like her. I think most of us did. I think when the first episode, when
she was
came
balling when she came in.
yeah, but I was absolutely wrong that they weren't layering in some pretty strong hands, that this week they just removed all doubt that she is in fact a massive racist piece of shit.
Yeah. her getting annoyed with them speaking Armenian. And I wrote here in my notes, parentheses, my people. Y'all, I'm like 2% Armenian. And so I felt like I was just watching my people there. I loved it.
I will never understand this whole fear that certain segments of our society have about people being bilingual. I will never get it. If you get to a day where you can't get services in English, okay. Then I'll hear your arguments, but that's not the reality anywhere. People speaking another language doesn't hurt you. And as a matter of fact, we are in a very small majority of the world where it is not the norm for most of the population to be at least bilingual, if not trilingual or more.
Yeah.
So I've never understood how other people speaking a different language
just
pisses
ruins your
so
whole
many people
day.
off. Yeah, it's just
stupid.
Bizarre.
All right, last note, patients and sexy arrested nurse updates. Jesse has been taken to a DHS center and will be transferred like 2 hours away to an ICE detention center, thanks to Perla's brother-in-law, who is a cop, and Robbie will update the hospital attorney. And per Dana, or per Dr. Al, the staff will get updates every 12 hours on Jesse's status. I hope he's not stuck there all weekend. Baby Jane Doe is still chilling in the ED. She's going to be driving probably about the time she's ready to go. Oliver, we get an update on Oliver during rounds. He and Mason are doing great. He's on dialysis and doing better. And then Miss Brenda, the heat stroke kid's mom, is still on psych hold. And I wrote here, I hope they move her soon. I feel like that would be really stressful, just having 4 doctors standing there staring at you,
like
obviously talking. Yes.
Yeah,
I understand what a psych watch means, but man, that's a bit much.
It started to remind me of like Silence of the Lambs or Loki from when Loki was in prison from the Avengers, or Dr. Magneto or something. I think I just went on a nerd tirade there.
You
but
did.
Yeah,
Mark would be so proud of you right now.
He would. But that's what made me think of, is like they're keeping her in there like she's some mega villain and just standing there talking about rude.
Yeah.
Just staring at her like she's a monkey in the zoo. So this brings us to something I wanted to talk about. Like, what storylines do you think we're not going to get wrapped up at this point? I don't think we're going to get any answers about Baby Jane Doe.
Unless my theory that Dr. Collins is adopting that baby.
That just doesn't, this seems super like not on brand with the show. But you have your dreams, Becky. You have your dreams. I won't take those.
I let you want to love Monica. Let me want Dr. Collins to come and get this baby.
I'm going to let you have that. I don't think they're going to wrap that storyline up. I think Baby Jane Doe is going to be a metaphor for just the football that they are juggling around throughout this season while they are doing everything else.
Yeah.
That they're dealing with. I don't think we're going to get any answers about Jesse.
I don't think Jesse's going to get resolved this season. I don't think we're going to get an end result on Duke, on his whatever
issues.
Happens with him. I think because of how they need to do all these other things, unless Robbie can pull some strings, I think that Duke is not going to get resolved. And I don't think that Brenda, who's in psych hold, I don't think we're going to get any, other than maybe she's been moved upstairs. I don't think we're going to get any more on her husband, the heat stroke kid, anything else.
Yeah, I do think we're going to get some kind of more information or revelation or something about Duke. There's going to be some kind of continued arc there, in my opinion. I just don't know what it is. I genuinely have no idea how they're going to land this plane. I don't think we're going to find out resolution about Jesse. I agree with you. I think that there's probably going to be a little bit more about Mrs. Azarmendi, but I don't think we're going to get the question answered as to whether or not she really meant to do harm to her child or if it was just a tragic accident.
Right. We're not going to know.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to resolve that for us. I think Digby's storyline is wrapped up now. I'm pretty sure that's going to be just about it for him.
Well, because he's still waiting to be admitted. So I hope if they're going to give us any more Digby, I hope that it's his daughter. shows up
Oh,
at the
yeah, that would be
hospital
nice
to see,
to see him.
because Dana's like, I'll take care of it, and it made me think for just a second, is she gonna go find his kid and tell her where he's at if you want to come see him? Because obviously they look for him because he's
Yeah.
freaked out that they don't know. Anyway, I could go on about this for days. Yeah, I just don't. Those are the only ones that I could really think of right now. I think the only for sure resolves that we're going to get is Robbie. What happens to Robbie? Be it, do we see
he
him
wreck? Does
sitting
he
in the
go
room with
off?
Brenda, kicking it while they're both on a 72-hour psych hold? Does he go and crash and end up back as a patient? Does he go drive off, smash head, place? I don't know.
Head smashing gap or whatever. Yeah.
Yes. And I think we are going to get some kind of resolve on the Whitaker Santos living together storyline, like they wrapped season 2 with her inviting him to come stay with her. I think some kind of something is going to happen where they're together. And I hope
some kind
Mel
of quiet
is in
moment.
the mix too.
Me too. I think that there's going to be, as far as like Santos's continued mental health, like I don't think we're going to get any big dramatic moment. Like I've seen on live people speculating she's going to really harm herself with her cutting. You know, she seemed like a pro at it. That's not to say that it is not incredibly dangerous over the long haul, but I don't think that's going to be the storyline. I think it's going to be, like you said, something smaller than that, where she has maybe an epiphany that she helped Whitaker out last season, but this season she needs him, and we'll probably get some kind of slow moment there. The big thing we didn't talk about that came out this week, that Mohan is leaving.
So yeah, we did get the news that Supriya Ganesh is not signing back on for a season 3.
So that storyline is going to get wrapped up. I'm pretty sure I'm hoping for her sake, because I just think it wouldn't be cool for the character if they don't say anything about her deciding to leave. And then she's just not back.
Yeah, I think she's going to do it. But before she leaves, I think she's just going to accept this is not the place for her anymore. And she's going to end up keeping that job that she got in New Jersey and end up going and being closer with her mom. And that's either they write her out that way and we get that verbally, or it's said at the start of next season like they did with Dr. Collins. But I hope they give her a fair goodbye on her way out, because she was a great character for 2 seasons.
Yeah, I really hope she gets some good resolution to her storyline. But yeah, I think there's going to be something more dramatic going on with Robbie. But now I don't think that, again, I don't think he's actively planning to kill himself anymore. And I genuinely just have no idea how that's going to play out, what the resolution is going to be there. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, can't wait. All right, final thoughts. This was a yay for me. I really liked the, again, slower pace of the episode versus not this last one, but the 2 before. And I think that was kind of them to give us a minute to breathe, even though we still had quite a decent amount to unpack in this episode. It moved the story forward, but didn't leave us like absolutely completely panicked at the end. And is segueing into what I hope is going to be a phenomenal 2 episodes left. I'm going to give this 4.75 jammed paper shredders out of 5.
I liked it. It was a great episode. There's not been one episode I didn't absolutely love this season. It's not one of my favorites compared to some other episodes. There just wasn't as much big, stunning reveals, or
it was just good,
massive. Yeah, it was good. I'm going to give it 4.5 drop stethoscopes out of 5.
I like it.
Thank you.
Mic drop, stethoscope drop. All right, procedure of the week. I put 2 down here. Jabati drilling into dude's skull, or Cruz sticking his finger into the kid's lung. Take your pick. They both were fabulous.
Exactly what I was thinking about. Either or both of those. Both were revolting in different ways, and I knew you'd love them both.
Yeah.
And misdiagnosis, a massive misdiagnosis on my part about Monica. You clocked her a lot faster than I did. Just so disappointed in you, Monica.
Yeah, and I have one too where we were debating with Penny what the big thing was going to be that triggered Robbie to stick around. And I said, we haven't seen Abbott yet. So he should be back by now. So I thought maybe something
Oh,
was
yeah.
wrong with Abbott. And as of now, there is nothing wrong with Abbott. So I was wrong about that.
Yeah, let's keep our fingers crossed on that one.
Yeah.
We got some feedback from our Wait What's On Tonight Facebook page. Linda Morrison. Hey, girl.
Hey, girl. Hey.
Linda says, I'm angry about the healthcare system in this country. You and me and at least 60% of us, Linda.
Yes. But like Mandy said, it's all for a good reason.
It's all for a good reason. So that we
Nothing to
can
worry.
send more children to die in a war that no one has explained to us exactly why we're in.
Yeah.
Linda goes on, I'm glad this show is focusing on it, and we need free or low-cost health care for all. Also, I hope they send that unit clerk home now. Yeah, amen, Linda.
Hashtag fuck Monica.
You know what? I'm going to make a prediction. I feel like that Monica's going to get her ass chewed out here in the next couple of episodes. Either Dana or Robbie is just going to go completely ham on her, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Perla. They're setting Perla
Oh, I
up.
hope it's Perla. Girl, please let it be Perla.
The side eyes, she's clocking a lot of things with Monica. So
just
I hope
because
it's
you were
Perla.
a mud wrestler at Purgatory back in the 80s, Monica, doesn't mean you're going to be able to take Perla.
My money's on Perla.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And we got a voicemail from Nathan Eshelman. This is his first time sending us a voice note for this show. He sent a little bit of feedback last season, and I was super stoked to open email this morning and see we had a voicemail from him. So thank you, Nathan. And here are his thoughts on the episode.
Hey, Becky and Mandy. This is Nathan, longtime listener, sometimes writer, and first-time caller.
Yay.
I wanted to tell you all about how I almost went to Nashville this year. I was listening to your interview with Ernest Harden Jr., and he mentioned that he filmed a movie with David Arquette. And on top of being an actor, David is also a painter, and he was auctioning off a beginner painting lesson for charity in Nashville. Unfortunately, I lost that auction, but if I had won, I would have invited y'all to come with me because you're in the area.
Hell yeah.
Maybe another time, who knows?
Yes, please.
But on to the show. I wonder if one of the reasons Santos resents Langdon is she feels like a hypocrite. She stole the scalpel from the medical supplies for her own purposes, just like Langdon stole those pills. If I had to weigh the two, I'd still say stealing the pills is probably worse, but
yeah,
it's still stealing. So maybe she's
There's a little
self-conscious
hypocrisy
about that.
there for sure.
Just a thought. And something else, we're not used to hearing people's full names on this show. So when someone called Whitaker Dennis,
yeah,
it took me a
same.
second to think, oh yeah, that is his name.
That's
I
funny.
understand. Last week you were talking about how Mandy isn't a hugger, and I used to not be a hugger either. Whenever someone would come up and hug me, I would stand there like a statue and just wait for it to be over.
Like a hostage
But
situation.
I would say over the past, 5 years or so, I've started being more open to it. I see people that I love less and less over time, and I've just been trying to express gratitude more, and that seems like a good way to just be open to people. So I've been more open to it over time.
Aww.
But most importantly, do you know who can hug me? Dr. McKay. She can hug me 7 days a week and twice on Friday. Hey-yo.
Nathan, you and I will tag team. I will grab Dr. Robbie and hold on for dear life. You grab McKay and we'll both get arrested together.
I was going to say, and I will be getting a list together of your loved ones because I can't be footing both of your bail all on my own.
Call Darren. He's got it.
You know what's funny? And like the hugging thing, part of it is just my nature. Hugs feel like literally like I'm being held hostage. And it's crazy because with little kids, it's not the same. You know, I hugged my kids plenty. They were always, hanging off of me like little baby monkeys. There was plenty of affection in our family. I'm affectionate with my husband. It's literally standing up and having people put their arms around me. It's not that I hate touch.
But we just need to lay you down and give you hugs.
Yes.
Or
I don't
have
know
you
what it
seated?
is.
Is that what it is?
I guess. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. I'm just telling you that's what it is. I feels like when people are hugging me like I'm being held hostage. And I think maybe it's because they got held down by my siblings when I was a kid. And like, they do that thing where they beat on your chest or your brother would hawk a loogie over your face. I was always the smallest person in a house full of psychos. So it probably stems from that. But yeah, I think that what you were talking about like getting yourself to be more affectionate if you're not naturally inclined, I've thought about that too, because I always want the people that I love to know that I love them. And it's something that I've recognized I'm never going to be a hugger, but I do the same thing you do. I go out of my way to look for other ways to be affectionate and let the people that I know that I love know that I care about them.
That was a great voicemail, Nathan. Thank you so much. Please hit us up anytime you come to Nashville. We would absolutely love to meet you and hang out. I love that you thought of us.
I hate that you didn't win. That sucks. That would have been a really cool opportunity.
That would have been amazing. Although I might have had to show David Arquette up with my watercolor skills.
They are fabulous.
She's not lying.
Mm-mm. All right, guys. As always, we're going to tell you thank you. We really just appreciate everybody that takes the time to send feedback. We love it. We love that you are now part of the show. So just keep it coming.
Please do. Please do. Please do. If you would like to get in touch with us, leave some feedback, or just say hi, you can email or send us a voice message as an attachment to what's on tonight and the number 2@gmail.com. And I will tell you that is the best way to reach us. But also,
you can also visit our Facebook page where there'll be a post for the next episode, and you can leave feedback there in the comment section, or you can send us a message through Facebook Messenger. We can be found on Instagram as well at What's On Tonight Podcast and the number 2. And we would greatly appreciate it if you would leave a review, comment, like, and or share on your podcast listening app of choice. It helps us out so much, guys. We would really appreciate it if you would take the time to do that.
Yeah, it would. And also, word of mouth, man. If you are randomly out and hear somebody talking about the Pit, recommend our podcast if you're enjoying it. Word of mouth goes a long way. We've gotten a lot of new listeners recently because of that. So appreciate you guys.
Or if you're just out and you hear people that are like complaining because they just don't have enough podcasts where it's two hot chicks talking about everything in the world that enters their brain for an hour and a half to 2 hours, we're good for that too. They don't even have to love the Pit.
They just have to love two hot chicks.
Yeah, just talking shit about everything and anything that blows through their mind.
Literally. Well, how about we assist in draining some fluid off of a brain and talk about podcast recommendations, good TV or movies or anything else you want to share. Mandy, what do you got?
2 things. One, I became aware this week of a book through some of the fan pages called American Sirens, The Incredible Story of the Black Men Who Became America's First Paramedics, written by Kevin Hazard. It's on Spotify, so I'm actually going to start listening to it while I work this week, and I'm pretty excited about that. It looks really
Excellent. I'll put that on my
recommendations.
Well, for when I am doing all my back and forth driving. That sounds like a good listen.
Yeah, I almost started it because I was checking it out to make sure I got the name right. And then I was like, I wonder if they have it on audio. And when I saw it, I was like, hot damn. So I almost started listening to it before we got on. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about is I have a message for one RuPaul Charles. The final episode of RuPaul's Drag Race is going to be coming on next week. I'm not listening to it, RuPaul. You blew it. You blew it, RuPaul. The fact that Baby Jane Don't has gone home is a travesty of the First Order, and it has ruined the rest of this season for me. So if you're a drag race fan out there, the season finale is coming up. I'm boycotting it.
Wow.
Justice for Baby Jane.
That's big words, man.
I'm sorry. Cool. Ru and I have beef now. That was the insane choice. Insane.
All right. Well, I'd like to recommend the They Did What podcast with Kelsey and Jen. They just released a new podcast episode covering The Devil is Busy. It was a 2025 short film, and it highlights a security guard working at inside an abortion clinic in Atlanta. And it's really interesting. And they, as usual, have a very great, thought-provoking conversation about it. So check out both the short film and their podcast. And for TV recommendations, I am late to the game, but I just got hooked up with Apple TV. And I started watching Your Friends Neighbors. I'm still on season 1. I know season 2 is either out or getting ready to come out. Stars John Hamm. I didn't know what it was about. I just saw a bunch of people saying, "Ooh, this is good." I am loving it. It is so much more complex and heartwarming and funny and suspenseful than I suspected. So if you're not watching it, please check out Your Friends Neighbors on Apple TV.
Is it Your Neighbor's Friends or Your Friends' Neighbors?
Your Neighbor's Friends.
Okay. You were saying Your Friends' Neighbors.
Well, that's because I can't read. I went to the what's the Blue Steel?
Zoolander?
I went to the Zoolander School for Kids who can't read good and want to do other things good too. All right.
Oh, that's funny. All right, that wraps up our coverage of episode 13 of season 2 of The Pit. We will be back next week to cover episode 14 titled 8 p.m. Oh my God, I can't believe these people are still at work.
I can't believe they're still at work, and I can't believe that we're still watching them work. And there's only 2 episodes
I'm so tired,
left.
guys. I need to stop charting and go home.
Yeah, same.
I'm going to start having stress dreams about charts.
We will. We're going to text each other in the middle of the night and be like, "Oh my God, you will not believe the dream I just had." I'd be like, "You were there and you were there." Like Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, everyone, as always, for listening. And we'll leave you with a quote from Bertrand Russell. I love this quote. "The fundamental cause of the trouble is that in the modern world, the stupid are cocksure while the intelligent are full of doubt."
Preach.
A to the men. I'm Becky.
And I'm Mandy.
And we'll catch you next week when we grab the remote and see what's on tonight. Bye.